Welcome, 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 welcome. You're in Ray's Juke Joint, but this is a new show. We're expanding. We're doing some different things in the Juke Joint now. So Eric and I have moved away from the other stuff, and we're strictly focusing on baseball and other stuff that we want to talk about. And we're gonna leave the football alone. Ain't that right, Eric?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's
That's
too
right.
much-
All
it's too much-
baseball, all fun stuff.
Yeah,
No quarterback talk here.
yeah. This is the pick off baseball show. Double entendre there. Base pick off is a baseball term. If you know baseball, you know what that means.
Yep.
It's also later on, Eric is going to help you guys make some picks during the year for your fantasy baseball teams. Some guys on the waiver wires, some guys you may be overlooking, some guys you might want to think about picking up or putting down. Don't start, don't start. And then also a little bit later, Eric will have some predictions or some things on the sports betting side of the game that he will drop a little few gems on because he is proficient in that side of the game too. As always, Eric, you are my ace. You are my co-host. Go ahead and talk to the people.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to kick this off. Like you said, all kinds of fun stuff. We got some, future guest lineup, fantasy experts, gambling experts, all kinds of stuff. So if there's stuff out there that people, want to get into, reach out because we're going to stick around this, but it's going to be baseball, but it's going to be fantasy and also the gambling side of the sport as well.
Yeah, and we got some minor leaguers lined up to to talk to those guys. We got maybe possibly a former slugger we might be able to get on here that played in the major leagues, and it's just all kind. We're excited. We're just going to do something different, change it up a little bit. Shout out to Elise, Julius, and Isaiah who just got off the air, who did their show, the Fair Catch Sports Show, where they cover the Bears and the football stuff and the basketball side of the game and other sports. But over here at the Pickoff, we're focusing strictly on baseball and our Chicago White Sox, who are not in these jerseys anymore because the new jerseys suck.
Right.
so that's the one hot stove topic that we're probably not going to talk about right now because we still haven't seen them in person. We haven't seen them play in them on TV. So I'm gonna hold off my judgment till I see them on TV because if they look like crap in 4K, it's just going to be bad for the major leagues.
They better be comfortable. That's all I got to say.
Right. I mean, are they moisture wickening? Are they special technology? What the hell? Why are we here with these new jerseys? But Majestic, maybe they didn't have it, anymore, and they wanted to go a different way, or who knows? But Eric, let's not even go. So here at the Pickoff Show, we got 4 segments, right? We got to throw the first, we got to throw the second, we got to throw the third, and we got to throw home in the pickoff orders. Okay. So first of all, we're gonna get right into it. Let's go. Throw the first, baby. Throw the first. It's current White Sox news. And when we talk about White Sox news, the current state of the White Sox is really what we're talking about. What is the current state of the White Sox? And what are we looking at from a standpoint of a fan that's listening to these guys down here in spring training as far as the front office is concerned and the manager? What are you hearing, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, so it's the first day of all reported to camp today, right? Everybody was in. It's one thing I found was interesting is they seem to, which they should, it seemed like Luis Robert was kind of the voice of the team today. Like not only giving his opinion on his season, but he was speaking for Eloy, speaking for Makata, speaking for other people. So he should be the face. I hope he's the face. And that was the interesting thing I saw today anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to give me a new thing for the pod. It'd be switching. I don't know what it is. It'd be going to this different mode or whatever. It just does it on its own. It's got a mind of its own. But anyway, I saw a lot of guys come in there, and right before we came in, I saw a tweet put out about Moncada hitting a home run, and Eloy is like, "Oh no, I'm gonna do the same thing," and he went oppo to the same spot. So it seems like the guys are there. They're doing what they got to do, and I did like the Martin Maldonado interview that Chuck Garfien did. I wish I would have got permission for him to use his clip. I forgot to reach out to him, but in the future I'll reach out to Chuck, to see if I can use some of his clips as far as on the show or whatever. But I think that Martin Maldonado is a pro's pro.
Yeah, constant professional, right?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be kind of telling when we get to the next part of the show. But as far as Chris Getz's interview, did you hear that one, Eric?
I did.
What were you thinking when you heard Chris Getz speak this year?
I mean, initially, at least they kind of have an identity, right? He said what he was going to do. He was worried about up the middle defense. He wanted to become more athletic. Sounds like they want to run more, which it's not the style that the old Sox were, but the only thing I'm hoping for is he sticks to that identity, right? No more Band-Aids, no more like plug and plays. Like if this is going to be your team, if this is going to be who you are, you're going to play defense. You're not going to strike out as much. You're going to steal bases. Make sure you stick to that. No more plugging like Benintendi into left field last year. That didn't make any sense for the current White Sox roster. You know what I mean? Like the way it was constructed at the time. I like the way he changed the floor. I mean, I think he's raised the floor. I like, if we're talking about houses, the basement, like I liked a little bit of the moves. I wish we would have seen maybe another stabilizer or two in the free agency market for going forward, because I'm afraid we're going to end up right back here next year, right? Like Cease's probably still going. Mikado will be gone. Does Eloy get traded? And there was really, other than maybe Fletcher in the outfield, who I think was a great addition, is there anybody you can say you look 4 years down the road that was added to the White Sox this offseason? Like there wasn't, or whatever. There was nobody to kind of help build around with Luis. So I'm not judging yet, and I do like the things that have been done. They've stuck to the plan, but let's see where they go from here.
Yeah, I felt the same way listening to Chris Getz, but then seeing how he's been moving, he hasn't made the splash, but what he did do was try to change the culture of the team. In my opinion, I think that the players that he brought in, some of the guys that he brought in are not young guys. These guys he brought in a lot of young talent. Like he brought in, and we're gonna get into that here in a minute, but he brought in a lot of young talent, but he brought some stabilizers, like we said with Martin Maldonado, right? He brought in some stabilizers like Paul Jeong. He brought in some stabilizers, bringing in Moose in this most recent one. I mean, this is a 3 or 4 time All-Star outfielder. You know what I mean?
I feel like the theme there a little bit was, how do you want to say it? Who's going to appreciate being on a Major League Baseball team? Who's playing for their careers? Who's playing for their jobs? Who's playing for a chance to stay in the show? Like some desperation among, and maybe not the entitlement. Like you talk about a Jeong, you talk about Lopez, you talk about Maldonado. Like a lot of these guys were possibly, on their way out, or maybe utility role, or maybe some deal. The backup catcher, right? Sazi, you talk about these guys that probably, they're on their last chance to prove that they're major league worthy, and they're probably appreciating the opportunity.
Yeah, and I look at like players like Yoan Moncada, and we're gonna really talk about the roster in a minute. But players like Yoan Moncada, like what is Chris Getz thinking as an evaluation of Yoan, of Eloy, of Andrew Vaughn, some of these guys that even Luis Robert. Like, what do you think his evaluation of these guys, going into this year, especially like the guys that are in like a contract year, i.e., this is our last year getting to pay Yoan, right? I want to say.
Yeah. There's a club option for like $25 million or something, but I don't see him exercising that one. So
right, and then Eloy, I think, is coming up next year, right?
He's got 2 options after this year, I think.
Okay, so Eloy has 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, but to ask, what they're hoping for is they're hoping some of these guys that could potentially, and I know we'll get into this on third base, but that can potentially help this club get off to a good start, but also could bring back a good return. They're hoping Moncada gets off to a hard start. They're hoping that, he is on his way to maybe being a 3-war player. Maybe somebody at the deadline wants to go ahead and swallow up that half of that $25 million, and they can get a flyer prospect in return. I mean, maybe Eloy got 15 homers at the break, and somebody wants a right-handed bat. Like, they're looking to continue to turn that stuff over, or whatever, especially the people that are coming up on bigger contracts. They can help free up some room, add some more depth to the farm of pieces. I mean, that's what they're going to be looking for as far as those guys. They're hoping Cease gets off to a rocket start because he's only going to have 1 year left after this. What could they get for him at the deadline?
Yeah, so like Pedro Grifol had a nice little interview. Shout out to Chuck Garfien again. He's just on the job, one of the best on the.
Him and Ryan are the best, as far as I'm concerned. Like, yeah. That's the only one I listen to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're right there in the players' faces, in the coaches' faces, in the GM faces. They're getting it straight from the horse's mouth. When he talked to Pedro Grifol, there was a question asked. It wasn't by Chuck, but Chuck was there about like, what did you learn? And what rocked your world? He was like, 101 losses is enough to rock anyone's world. Well, how do you think we feel, Pedro?
Right.
As fans, to see the team get rocked 101 times. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And so, like, I think his response was it was a lot of coach speak, but there was something he said. I've been sitting up here trying to recall what he said. I wish I would have got permission to use the clip, but I think he said something to the effect of, just once again, changing the culture.
Preparing different was a big part of it.
Preparing differently. And actually he took a little responsibility on how he was going to, send the troops out basically every day, and how they were going to, really play White Sox baseball coming up this year.
It sounded like, too, a couple of things I read was there was a question on how much control he had last year over certain things. So I'll be interested to see how that goes as well.
Right. Some things coming down from the top, like, hey, no, sir, you're going to do it like this.
Yeah,
or like when we talked about the analytical side, where like, here's what the analytics said.
Yeah, I would be. So I'm going to be really interested to see some of this stuff as the season goes. But, I mean, it can't be any worse. Not only losing 101, but, I mean, it was just ugly baseball. I mean, just pitiful to watch.
Well, I mean, Pedro has an opportunity now to kind of put his own stamp on it, because they basically said, hey, if you could play baseball, come to Arizona and fucking and
can you they invited 70 guys, right?
Yeah, they got 70 so if you could play baseball, come down here and see if you can make the White Sox. It looked like that opening scene on Major League.
Yeah,
they're standing there, and all these guys like, who is this guy?
Right.
It's Serrano.
I'll never forget that quote. I thought you didn't have any high-priced talent.
Yeah,
I forgot. Dorn, he's just high-priced.
Right. Like, so it was kind of like that. So let's get into it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Let's go to our throw to second. That's our White Sox roster review. So let's kind of go into it a little bit, pull this from a couple sources. Notable offseason transactions as noted by the MLB Network. We had Jared Schuster and Soroka. Oh, and we got that trade from the Atlanta trade, right? Those two?
Yep.
All right. And then we got Eddie Fedde from the KBO. He pitched well in Korea last year, so he's here.
Yeah, he was another former first-round pick. I think he actually won the equivalent of the Cy Young last year in the
KBO.
Yep.
Nicky Lopez, we know all about him. We've talked about him. Paul DeJong, we got him on as a free agent from St. Louis, I want to say.
Yep.
We got Dominic Fletcher, and I want to say the Seattle deal.
Nope, he was from Arizona.
Okay, we're gonna get. I'm gonna pull it up. You got John Brebbia, Martin Maldonado, Max Stacy. I want to talk about Max Stacy in a second too, with you, Chris Flexen, and then some of the guys that we saw, leave us. Gregory Santos was traded. Bummer was traded, and the other. Of
course,
guys
Shaw's back now. He's on that list.
Oh yeah, Shaw is back. They re-signed Shaw. They brought Shaw back. All right, so let's talk about. Let's see this. Here goes some invites. you know, they brought in some guys. Hold on, let me do something. Let me get rid of this right here. Get rid of this right here. All right, so we had some invites here. They brought Costa Montgomery. How you feel about that?
Yeah, I think he was up last year too. I think they invited him as well. I mean, him
Okay.
going through the process can't hurt nothing, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I'm super intrigued, you know, as we get into this, like, where does he start, right? Like, he hasn't played a ton of games in Double A. I think he's under 80 because of injury. Like, are they going to start him back in Double? But if they do, to me, that's a giant warning sign in a way if he's not ready for AAA. But you know, are they going to go with Popeye Ramos and Montgomery down in AAA? That'd be fun if that was the infield down in Charlotte. But it's going to be interesting to see where they start off with Montgomery for sure.
I'm writing a name down. I'm writing a name down just for you, Eric. And I'm going to ask you about this name that's on this list right here a little later.
Okay.
All right. So one more notable name on here was Edgar Cuero, the catcher. So he's one of the top prospects in the farm.
They got him in the Giolito and Lopez trade to the Angels last year.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, but you had a couple names. So let's talk about the couple names you wanted to speak on. Here goes. Let's talk about this guy right here, Zach DeLoach. What did you like about him? Like, for some reason, he stuck out for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So we start talking about the roster, and you're looking at the bench, you know, or whatever the case. Obviously, Stacey makes it right. Got to have a backup catcher. That's pretty easy. The fourth outfielder is kind of in question. You know, I've seen Pilar on a lot of people's deals, but are they really going to pay him $3 million? Are they really going to bump his salary $3 million? Are they going to cut somebody to hold on him for 1 year and pay a guy that's going to have no trade value just to hang around and add to the payroll? Like, I don't know if I see it. I don't know if it makes much sense. Like, to me, this is supposed to be like a learning year. And you're going to see right in front of you, like I kind of wrote some of this stuff down too, but like last year, 286, 387, 481. We talk
41
about,
plays.
Yeah, we talk about splits a lot. You start talking about that 100-point differential in batting average and on base percentage, and 100-point differential in OPB and slugging. Like, that's a beautiful slash line. Like, that's what I mean. I don't care so much about the numbers in general, but you're looking at stuff. You know, he only had a 23% chase rate last year in the minors on his stuff too. So he had 83 walks, 23 homers. You know, and he stole, and it wasn't a ton, 8 stolen base, I think, last year, but he can run a little bit. Like, Are they ready to, like, go complete youth movement and just give this guy a year and see what he can do? Because he played, I want to say he played like 130 games, 140 games at AAA last year. Does he need more? Now, I will say he struck out a ton.
Right.
But to still hit 280 with strikeouts, if he hits it, at least he'll win somewhere, you know, or whatever. So, like, I think he struck out something crazy, like 180 times. But when he did hit it, he got a hit. So I'm more interested in seeing who's that fourth outfielder. I just don't see guys like – I don't see Moustakas ever making the roster. I mean, I think he's just a lifer that wants to probably stick around and play the game. I can see him going to Charlotte. Some guys love to play baseball. They don't know anything else. And to me, that's him. Like, you heard about Sandoval signing with the Giants. The GM was like, he was sending me workout tapes every single day. I had to sign him to spring training so he'd leave me alone. Like, I don't ever see him making the roster. I don't, you know, Mendick. Now, Mendick does have an option available still years. So is it possible they add him to the 40 to cut somebody so they can move him back and forth? Maybe. You know, maybe. But for me, I'm kind of hoping for the youth movement. Me watching Pilar run around the outfield doesn't excite me whatsoever.
So what about this guy? What do you think about this one? This was an addition in that same trade.
Yeah.
Like, you're not excited about, you know, even a potential with him with that.
No, I am excited. I think he's the everyday starting right fielder for the next 6 years if he don't get signed. Like, I think he plays every day, all day. I think he's exactly what the White Sox and Getz are looking for. Speed, defense, doesn't K a lot, you know, all the things that they've kind of wanted to surround this team with and what they want to do. So I think it was a good move. I know people are pissed that you give up a Minya or a top 10 prospect, but that should always be the path, in my opinion. There's a reason why prospects are prospects. And the reason why Major League Talent is Major League Talent. And like he was ready. And I thought it was interesting too, where I read they could have had him or McCarthy or whatever, and they chose Fletcher. So like, and the fact that Barfield was from Arizona kind of gives you a little more insight. But I did like the move. I am excited to see Fletcher play. At least that's probably an addition that's going to be with the team for, like I said, the next 6 years.
And you didn't. Oh no, it wasn't this one. You had another guy you wanted to speak on in the other trade. This trade was with the Braves, and we got Soroka, Schuster, Lopez. But you wanted to talk about somebody else.
Yeah, what are they going to do with Braden Shoemake, right? Like, that's why I'm so interested in the other bench spot as well. Like, the kid last year played 122 games in AAA, 16 home runs, 27 stolen bases, 28 doubles in 127 games. You pencil it out to 150 games, you're talking about 20 homers, 30 stolen bases, 30 plus doubles. At one point, he was a 2019 first-round pick by Atlanta. He was supposed to be in the spot maybe to compete for the starting job after Swanson went to the Cubs. But like, are they really going to bring back a Mendick, who we all know what he is? Or are they going to run with this kid, to see what he can possibly do and have him be the fourth the utility infielder guy? Because if they move him down to AAA, if he don't make the team, he's already on the 40-man roster. So if he don't make the 26 and he goes to AAA, well, that tells you Montgomery's starting in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you he's starting double and kind of blocked a little bit.
Right.
I mean, not blocked, but I mean, like, I promise you, they're not giving up on Shoemaker. He hits, like I said, he hit 16, 27, and 28. They ain't giving up on the Shoemaker kid. Like, so I'm very intrigued how all that plays out. If I had to guess today, and we'll learn more, but if you're just saying, like, I'm in for the total youth movement. Mendick, Moose, Pilar, nice careers. You boys want to stick around in Charlotte? Great. Let's play the kids. Let's find out. Are
you interested in those guys being there as mentors for these young kids?
Yeah, I thought about that. Maybe doing things the right way, maybe helping these guys, but I just don't know if I want to for a 1 year. I mean, other than Mendick has an option, so he can go back and forth. So he is intriguing. But having a year round, like, who is Pilar going to, on a big league roster, who is he going to mentor? Fletcher, I suppose, but what's Benintendi there for? What's Robert there for?
Right.
Whatever. Like, DeJong and Lopez have been around for years. Moncada probably could use some mentoring, but you shouldn't need it. Vaughn's now going on in his fourth year, whatever. So, I mean, both catchers have been around, so I don't see it. If they need mentoring and do stuff the right way, to me, it's probably in AAA. And it wouldn't surprise me if, I'll give you an example. Moose sticks around, holds out in AAA. Moncada gets traded for the deadline. Moose comes up, plays some third base, finishes out his career at the White Sox, kind of takes a token run. I could see some kind of scenario like that going on.
Well, I think that I like your idea of the youth movement because like a lot of the guys from Atlanta are intriguing because Atlanta's roster is so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, they draft well too. So it's like they're intriguing for a whole nother reason because, like, these guys could have came up had they not had Ozzie Albies, had they not had,
Swanson blocking, he could already have been there, right?
Yeah.
Austin Riley playing third. I mean,
exactly.
Like, picking up Atlanta scraps isn't exactly the worst plan.
Exactly.
When you have a giant hole the White Sox did.
I mean, and then even the pitchers. I mean, you got Strider, you got Freed, you got there's one more decent one down there. But they really like that AJ Smith-Shawver more than anybody down there. And they have another.
They picked up Sale, right? So,
right.
I mean, they got a pretty decent pen going.
Right.
Soroka, I like the Soroka move. He's only got 1 year left. I'll be curious there. Is that a look to extend situation once they see what's going on here? Because, I mean, we're talking about a former true ace. And I don't mean like when people say Dylan Cease's an ace. I mean, like, Soroka was on a pace to be an ace.
Right.
So, like, if he's back to 70%, 75%, are they looking to extend him to eat some innings in the future? Or is he just a trade deadline piece as well? That'd be interesting to see as well.
Right. I do have one more name to talk about. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up for you. So this one, a lot of people, including our friend Justin and Mac and those guys, they really like this signing. Now, how do you feel about this guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. What are you going to do with him, though? You're going to cut somebody and put him in the pen and then trade him at the deadline? Like, we talked about past regime. We talked about that the White Sox were going to add some bullpen pieces just for flip pieces, if you remember when we talked about
I remember.
it, right?
Uh-huh.
So they brought Chavez in from Atlanta, right? They brought Abel in from, they brought Shaw in. Like, these kind of guys could be guys that go ahead and steady the bullpen a little bit. Veterans been around. They're out to the deadline. Then maybe they bring some of the kids up behind them to finish the year. Because these signings aren't for – of course, they're to help the team now. But they're more for – I mean, it's not a long-term solution. It's more for, can this guy get to bat close to anything at all that I can get any value for him at the deadline on a low-risk situation? Like,
well, the guys were talking, and I had to go look up some of his stuff and actually see him pitch. They're saying, like, he's the closer.
I would be shocked.
You would be shocked. So, like, I mean, if we're going to talk about the roster and what we're going to be talking about, like as far as on the throw to third, as far as how we see the White Sox playing out this year, just right now, like I don't know who's closing. I mean, Santos was penciled in my book, and then he's gone.
Yeah, so, the guy they signed that used to pitch for San Francisco, John. I think it's Bravia. Yeah, I think he'll be the closer to start the year. I think that the kid from Atlanta, Chavez, will set up. I think that'll be your 8-9.
He said, "Kid, that guy is our age."
He's like 40, right? He's like 40. I think he is 40.
You said the kid, like he's our age for real.
Yeah. I think Chavez will.
Yeah, but he had a good season last year. I'm just joking.
He's, what's interesting too is because Bravia's done it some too, and Chavez, and we kind of talked about it on the side when you and I were just bullshitting, but I could tell you something else that might be really interesting. The White Sox could go to an opener system this year. Chavez has done it. Bravia's done it. Crochet's done it. Like, are you going to go ahead and open for Kopech and let Kopech come into second or third to get his 4 innings and try to shut it down? Are you going to try to open for like a Flexen and maybe, whatever? Are you going to try to hold up back on Soraka's innings, maybe use an opener there? Like with these, even Tukey could be an opener, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we talked because he was a starter for a while.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, like, I could see the Sox using the opener a lot this year and having some guys roll in behind it.
Because you really, like, if you think about it that way, you really only have one guy that you can say is a legit, give him the ball, let him go out there, and that's Dylan Cease. Outside of that, it's like, okay, how are we going to attack, these? Are we going, because I think it was Getz, it might have been in Grifal talking about, they might do 6 starters this year. So that leads into what you were talking about. The White Sox are saying we might do 6. You know what I'm saying? So I think that whatever they're doing, whatever they're going to do this year, it has to start turning to winning. It has to. Like the fans have to see something that looks sort of like a turn towards winning, because like you got this owner talking about using tax dollars to build a brand new stadium. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's just not going to go well. That's not going to go well at all if we're not winning. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think it does got to turn towards winning. I think it also just got to turn the corner on just being better baseball. I want to see if this team does not finish. You have to have a plan, right? They're trying to win, of course, right? Like, of course, they're going to try to win. No team will go out there and not try to win. Like, we should be running people's faces off. We should be top 7, top 8 in, stolen bases. We should probably be using the opener, using different things, 6-man starters, whatever the occasion. You're not going to be able to line up and just beat teams playing the same way they are.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, like, really look at like you said, the platoon thing, as far as like attacking, rosters with a platoon, just arm after arm after arm after arm, and then manufacture runs the way you should be, just pounding the baseball as hard as you can and running that hard 90 every.
I don't want to give them credit because they're interdivision, but I want to see the White Sox do to what Cleveland did to us. Just game in and game out.
Yeah.
Take the extra base, steal bases. Pitchers can't hold on. They put a lame duck catcher back there. Run. Yeah. Just run. Don't stop running. You're going to have to do something, because if you're just going to line them up and play base to base, start the 5 guys that are probably going to start, and we'll get there in a second, and then bring in the bullpen, I got news for you. You might lose 100 again, or you're going to be knocking on it. Like, you're going to have to come some creative ways to overcome some lack of talent.
No, for sure. And I'm just like, some of the guys are talking big stuff. Like Scott Merkin put out a tweet, earlier today, that he talked to Eloy, and Eloy said his goal is to play 150 games. Like, yeah. And he said 150 games with him, Luis, and Yoan. Like, if they could do that will turn towards winning, because not for no other reason than they are good ball players. They just haven't shown it, in my opinion. Like, Eloy, if he's healthy, let's just say Eloy gives you a healthy 150. The guy can hit 275.
He's a good hitter.
The guy can hit 275 easy. He can slug 450.
He can slug 500.
He can slug 500, right? So you add that to the lineup. That's winning. That's somebody. We were talking about protect. We're gonna talk about it in a minute when we talk about the future. But we're always talking about roster construction and protection, right? Like, if he's gonna be Eloy, then that provides it.
Yep.
If Yoan can find something within himself to give us a 265, I'm going as far as I can see myself going with Yoan. Like, a lot of people are still on the bandwagon. A lot of people think, but he does have that twitch in him, and he's a switch hitter. You know what I'm saying? So,
yep. I mean, he also too, like, you hate to say it, but it's obvious. Like, he's not playing for the White Sox next year. I don't care what he does. They're never picking up that option. Yeah. I don't care if he wins the MVP. They ain't picking up that option. So, right. like he knows he's playing for. Does he still want to play next year? And if he does, how much money does he want to play for? Because if he repeats the last couple of years, you're looking at look at TA. TA had a nice 4 or 5 year run. He had one bad year, and now look, he's in the streets still. So, like, yeah, how much does he want to play for? What kind of contract does he want to sign? And all that's going to depend on what he does this year. Yeah,
I mentioned, when I was on the show with the Sox on Tap guys last week
I popped in and out of that. That was a great show, by the way.
Yeah, appreciate it. But I mentioned, like, wouldn't it be nice if we still had Jake Burger?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, thanks, Rick and
Kenny for the parting shot there. I am interested in the other kid though they got, but yeah, did it have to be Burger? Did it have to be?
What other kid?
The kid they got from Miami. I think he's going to be a stud. The pitcher.
Oh,
Eder.
Jake,
yeah. Right, Jake. I think it's Jake.
Jake. Yep.
Yeah. I'm really interested in him. I guess his fastball is back a couple miles an hour. It's his second year after Tommy John. Like, I'm really interested.
And Miami just knows pitching for whatever reason. They just do.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
We talk about clubs that just do things well. Miami produces pitchers.
Yep.
They just scout pitching well, and they put them in a little incubator and pop them out. Braxton Garrett, Yuri Perez, Sandy Alcantara. The list goes on. You know what I'm saying? So, I just think that Chris Getz has done a job as far as like, okay, I'm gonna do something different than my predecessors, and he did do something different. I.e., how many freaking arms are in camp right now? 25.
Yep.
Like as far as like there could be possible freaking starters, like it's crazy. Like it's so many guys.
Yeah, I think they said 15. I think
like 15 guys that could be, starters, but another freaking 30 that's pitching. It's just so many options that Pedro could fall and his staff could work with, and then just say, you know what, I'm sorry, you got a card in your locker. We'll see you. Good luck in the future. But the guys that stay on the 26, on the 40 should be, guys.
They should have upside. They should have control.
Right.
We should be rotating some guys to give them some looks, to give them some time. Like that's what I'm more interested in seeing is how's he going to do that. I mean, and the other thing I'll give Getz credit for, like I said, it's not my style, not my favorite thing, but he said we were going to play defense and we were going to get more flexible. Mm-hmm. Nicky Lopez is possibly a Gold Glove second baseman. Absolutely. If he plays all year long, he'll be in the conversation. Paul DeJong, no different. He'll be in the conversation at playing shortstop. Fletcher's going to be a great right fielder. So you're Maldonado and Sazi behind the plate versus Grandal, your four biggest holes, you plugged them, right?
Yeah,
you plugged them.
Yeah.
Nice job. We're not leaking anymore. I don't know how fast the water's coming out of the spigot, but at least we're not leaking and losing it on the way out the deal. Like I would have liked
all the while you're hoping Cuero develops.
Yeah, I would have liked a little shinier head on the end of the hose so we could spray and do some stuff and maybe go jets or power if we wanted to, but at least it's not leaking anymore. At least it's not leaking.
Yeah, but I wrote down Max Stacy.
Yeah.
So like when we signed him before Maldonado, I was like, what are we doing here? But then when we signed Maldonado, I kind of saw the vision. Like, what did you see? What was your thought process? But that's the name I wrote down.
Yeah, I mean, he's been injured, right? But he has okay pop. He did have an 885 year. He only had 105 plate appearances in the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
But he did slug 426 the year after that, 752. We would gladly take a 715, 13 home run season, or whatever out of him. And here's the thing, and it's going to be a theme, and he's told everybody he don't chase, right? He don't chase. And so he's not going to give bats away. So that's part of his – that's if you're looking for the White Sox player of the future and you're trying to give a little bit of insight into where you think they're going, you better look. Because if the guy has a huge chase rate, if the guy Ks a lot, the guy don't play good defense, he shouldn't fit, according to everything that gets said. And so far, he's done a good job of sticking to the playbook.
All right. Well, let's go to our to our next segment here. All right. So our throw to third is White Sox predictions. And what I mean by that, Eric, is like the outlook of the team going into camp and opening day as far as like, what do you see as far as the roster, as far as the starting rotation, and possibly, how many games you think this roster as is, once it comes out of camp, how many games you think they could win?
Sure. Let's go offense first. It's
okay.
Easier than probably the pitching situation. I think the starting nine is pretty much set.
Yeah.
Right? Benintendi, Robert, Fletcher on the outside, Moncada, DeJong, Lopez, Vaughn, and you probably got Maldonado catching, right?
Right.
So, Eloy's going to DH. So your nine set. Sazi be the backup catcher, so there's one of your bench guys.
Yeah.
Sheets will make the squad, I'm sure.
I know people not going to want to hear that one, Eric.
I know they're not, but I just don't see any reason why you're going to possibly, he does have an option year left. I guess you could probably play the game of sending him back and forth, but he can play first base, DH, left field and right field a little bit. So, I think he makes the roster. Now that it really comes down to the next two spots to me, and this is what we were just kind of talking about. Do they go old and cut a couple guys off the 40 and do like a Mendick and and a Pilar, I hope not. Like, I just don't see that. I can't see that as being a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd much rather it's Schumacher and Deloche, you know, or whatever. I'd much rather just let the kids get after it if somebody wants to be there. But like I said, Mendick is interesting because he does have the option. He can go back and forth all year, sub out.
He could play short. He could play second. Service.
He can even play a little right field. He play a little outfield. So, like, I could see maybe him making the club. I can't see Pilar making the club. Like, why are you going to pay him $3.25 million? Like, here, projections for projection for Gavin Sheets, 244, 306, 414. Projections for Kevin Pilar, 237, 282, 408. Why am I going to pay Pilar $3.25 million to do what Gavin Sheets does? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Like, and cut somebody beside it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem is these guys that are on the non-roster invite, if you add them and they make the club, you got to cut somebody.
Right.
So, and more than likely, the minor league deal comes with higher payroll to make the club. So I just don't see Pilar getting $3 million unless he just absolutely lights out for some reason, turns the clock back.
So does Moose make it?
No.
So Moose doesn't make it. So right now you're telling me that you think that the young fella Deloach is going to make it.
I'll be interested to see what they want to work with him. But the 23% chase rate, the great splits, the fact that he played I think it was 140 games last year, 138 games he played in AAA last year. Like, does he need any more games in AAA? Is there something they're specifically working on? If it's me right now, he's probably making it, and that's my fourth outfielder. But I could see him going Mendick, you know, to.
Yeah, but I'm still sitting on Stacy, Sheets, Mendick, Deloach. That's what I got written down.
Yep. But I'm telling you, I can see Schumacher making it too. But now they might start him at triple and start Montgomery down in AA, I guess. I guess they could go that route, but that's what I'm interested in is who makes it right there. Like, to me, that's the intriguing part. But keep in mind, for everybody that's like, I won't even get into it because I can't believe they still have a podcast, but somebody say it's going to be Mendick, Pilar, and Moose on the bench. You really think they're going to add $7-8 million, cut 3 guys off the deal for people that have no control? You know, people you can't even do nothing with, they ain't doing that. They all ain't making it. There's no chance they don't make it.
No, I don't think so either. Like, because if one thing I've learned in the last 2 years being around you that has shown me to be true is the books are the books.
Yeah.
The control is the control.
Yeah.
And that shit, it means something to everybody involved with that, right?
Yeah.
They're not finna like screw it all up and cut some guys to pay extra money for guys that are you basically have nothing but this year for them. You know what I mean? So I totally agree. So I wrote down the names. So in my mind, Pedro Grifol has penciled in Benny.
Yep.
Leading off.
Unfortunately, yes.
He's penciled in Yoan Moncada hitting second.
Yep.
I know you don't like that.
You're going to make me throw up in my mouth, but yep.
I know.
That's how it's going.
He's penciled in Robert at third.
Yeah.
He's penciled in Eloy at fourth.
Yeah.
He's penciled in Vaughn fifth.
Yeah.
And then he's penciled in I'm gonna say he's penciled in Lopez sixth. No, take that back. Because Lopez runs, right? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he runs. He can run.
All right, so never mind. He's penciled in DeJong sixth. What do you think?
The only thing I would guess, and for the love of me, I hope that I'm right. I think it's going to go
because Lopez his ninth.
Yeah, and also too, I don't think they're going to put Benintendi and Moncada back to back, just because you're going to run 4 righties or whatever in a row there, and for some reason that wasn't his style. Not that I care about Handis. You know how I feel about Handis. That's for the old people and the dinosaurs. But I'm hoping if we're going to deal with Benintendi leading off, I'm hoping it goes Benintendi, Robert, Eloy, Makata, Vaughn. I hope that's the top 5.
Wait, you said Benintendi, Eloy.
No, Benintendi, Robert,
Eloy,
Makata in the 4, Vaughn in the 5.
Wow. I mean, let me think. I'm trying to. All right, so talk me through that construction because I'm not seeing it. I don't see where do you? So you're saying lefty Benny,
Yep.
Right-handed Robert,
Yep.
Right-handed Eloy,
Yep.
switch hitting Yohan, and then
Andrew right-handed Vaughn, your best power guy left in the 5 hole. I'm hoping that's what I see. I'm hoping that's what we see in spring training. It makes the most sense to me, other than what I would do, which obviously he's not going to do. But I would just lead Robert off. But people aren't ready for that, I don't think.
Well, nobody's going to want to do that Mad Max stuff because you're of the mindset that Phillies figured it out. You're of the mindset that the Dodgers have figured it out. You're of the mindset that fucking the Yankees have figured it out. And
Atlanta, Kuna, a dangerous player. And the thing that I hate the most.
So go ahead and get it off your chest, Eric. Go ahead and say it.
I hate the most is you got to have somebody hit in front of him. Got to have somebody hit in front of him. Guess what? Somebody does hit in front of him the whole rest of the game other than the first inning. And nobody gives a shit about the first inning. But my most dangerous player gets the most at-bats in an entire season. You know how the White Sox can win maybe 80 games this year? Luis Robert's in the MVP conversation. You know how that is? He gets the most at-bats, and he steals 30 bags, and he plays a Gold Glove center field. You just turn the man loose. You're like, Robert, go win me baseball games. You're going to get the most at-bats, not stopping you on the base paths. You just go win us baseball games by yourself. And that's the only chance the team has.
Is Luis Robert disciplined enough to do that? Well, I guess he doesn't have to be. Look at fucking what's his name in Philly.
Yeah. I mean, he strikes out all the damn time.
Yeah.
And Acuna did all the way until last year. He was a strikeout merchant. You know what I mean? So, but you're talking about Robert has got elite speed and elite base running deal. You want to put pressure on the other team. I'm just going to make me throw up. If he goes Benintendi Makata, I'm just going to throw up.
He did it. He did it last year.
I know. I watched it. Then I had to watch Anderson in the 2-hole, who was obviously injured and couldn't hit a double, let alone a home run. Why is he there?
Yeah.
I'm fearful.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna start today, Eric. In honor of you, I will start the hashtag lead off Robert.
Yeah. I mean, it needs to be done.
Lead off, because in my mind, after we've talked about this numerous times, and shout out to everybody that's watching. Shout out to everybody that stayed with us pretty much the whole show. Thank you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you follow us on all the platforms and everything like that. Let me throw the little scroll up for the Pickoff Show with me and Eric. I'm excited about where we are as far as a channel, as far as a juke joint. We're really starting to see our vision of what we wanted to do when we first started this deal a couple years ago. So now it's starting to come to fruition. So just thanks to all the supporters, thanks to everybody. And if you're watching this after the live, thank you for coming back and watching on the rewatch. But let's get back to this hashtag lead off Robert. I'm with what I've learned from all of our friends, Caleb, Justin, Asinine, Mac, everybody, basically what I learned through fantasy baseball is there are players that do certain things and do certain things well. Mm-hmm. And it's tracked. And you can tell who does these things and how they do them and what they do them for. And Luis Robert, if anybody knows Baseball Savant, his deal is red. It's just poof, red, everything red, right? And so, ex-WOBA, slug, barrel rate, K rate, only one that's as bad as the K rate. But
he chases, he whiffs, but you know what? That's part of it.
Right. But all them other ones, they're just poof, in the upper, 10% of the league.
Yep.
And then you have a guy you're saying let's he says say nice shit about the Targaryens. We will. All right. That was Justin.
Yeah.
But Luis Robert leading off is just like Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
It's just like Ronald Acuna. It's just like Mookie Betts. It's the same deal. Like, so if he does do it, that would be fucking smart.
Yeah. And for all the people that don't quite comprehend, don't get your panties in a twist. Like, people will be batting in front of him the whole rest of the game. People will be on when he comes up the whole rest of the time. The first inning, we don't care. I'd rather they walk him and he steals second and third in the first inning.
Yeah.
Like, people forget they weren't really running last year as much. He stole 20 bags last year. And speaking of Justin, I told you and Ray, I told you both he's going to steal over 30 this year. And
yeah, you did say that.
Visit the I Told You So lounge if I was right. But, like, I turned the man loose. Let him go win you baseball games. What did he have last year? 36 doubles?
Yep.
20 stolen bases, I think.
He was
about 550, 38 homers. Like, he is the star of the team. Why do I have to watch Benintendi, Lopez, Moncada hit before he ever hits? Why is he not getting the most at bats on the team if he is the most dangerous player? Not only power-wise, but speed-wise. He's your best base runner, too.
Yeah.
Tell him to go be a star. Tell him to take over the franchise.
Yeah, this man, 264, 315, 542 slug.
542, sorry, I thought it was about 550, yeah.
857 OPS, 20 stolen bags, 38 home runs, 36 doubles, and he did strike out 172 times. But he did mention, this, it has been said that he is going to do more this year to try to be more consistent. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you got to remember, he made the big switch, and you and I are thankful he did. He started pulling the ball more. Every time you pull the ball more, you're going to increase your strikeouts. Because you're going to be out early, you're not letting the ball travel as deep, you're trying to jump pitches. But look what happened. It resulted in a 542 slug. The year before was 426. That's right field, Robert. Like, we don't want to see that. We want to see pull Robert. But what if I told you, Justin got it on there, what if I told you he could be 40, 40, and 40? What if I told you he hit 40 doubles, 40 home runs, and stealing 40 bags?
That would be crazy. But he could if in the right situation, and if they
has all the talent to do it. He has all the talent to do it. They just got to turn him loose.
So that leads us right to where we want to go with our throw to home.
Yeah.
So let's take it there. Right. We're gonna do some fantasy baseball news here. Fantasy baseball news, fantasy baseball talk, fantasy baseball just kind of lead into stuff with Luis Roberts, because you mentioned something just a minute ago. You mentioned something a minute ago, and you talked about, and I want to make sure I give before I pull it up. On February 12th, Alex Chamberlain of Fangraphs wrote an article, and it was called "The Pull Fly Ball Revolution Was Always Underway." And shout out to Alex. If you see this, Alex, I'm just gonna, I took a couple clips from your article. I appreciate you doing all the work, but we do want to talk about this right here, right? So pulling the ball with authority, right?
Yep.
Pull fly ball evolution, right? So what are we looking at here, Eric? Talk me through this right here.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talked about it for a while in different degrees, but there's an old Ted Williams quote of hit the ball hard and hit it in the air, right? Like, pull the ball in the air. You heard, if you paid attention, and we should find the quotes for next show, and I should have pulled them up this time, but you heard about Vaughn talking about it last year. He gets to the pull side. He wants the pull side to be in the air. You saw it with, Robert. They gave up probably a few hits going the other way in order to be able to hit the fly ball in the deal. Like, this is where batting coaches are teaching. This is what stuff is going. This is showing you right here, by type and how much has gone up every single year. Like, the pull fly ball is a thing.
Yeah.
They can't catch it if you hit it in the air. If you're out of the park, they can't catch it. So, I mean, this is what everybody wants. This is what everybody.
This is what you mentioned about Luis Robert, kind of what he did last year. He kind of changed what he was. You know, we want to see poolside Robert.
When you and I started doing the spaces, 2 years ago? This is probably our third year or whatever. Like you and I talked about how dangerous Paul Robert is.
Yeah.
Paul Robert is a dangerous man. There's elite power in that bat. I mean, you saw on display at the home run derby.
Yeah.
Kid put on a show in the very first round, whatever. Like poolside Robert is a dangerous, dangerous human being. And like, don't stop him for that.
Yeah. So, they was talking about how batters, become savvier as they, learn how to pull, and the pitches that they want to get, and how they let the ball travel more in so they can turn on it, and everything like that.
And what they're trying to do to him, right? Like what ball's going to hit in the air? Like you don't want to be trying to hit, sinkers in the air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of batters are doing that. Justin said that Robert would be 33-21 next year. So, I mean,
that's almost a regress from last year.
That's a regress, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think he does that.
Almost.
But let's so we are part of the You Are the Champ. You are the champ, and
looking to repeat.
You are.
Caleb was talking trash today. Caleb messaged me talking trash about his trade.
Caleb talked trash again. He did say this earlier. Let me show you what he said.
He said,
"You guys might as well take a couple years off fantasy baseball because the chip is all mine." And Justin wants to talk about Weiler Abreu because he thinks that Weiler is going to turn the corner. And actually, they had a nice little segment on him on I want to say it was on Major League on MLB Central about Weiler being a piece for the Red Sox.
I'm a little concerned about Justin. Justin's kind of like a player hoe. Like he was all over like Lane Thomas for a while, and now it's a
he's still on Lane Thomas.
Does he just jump around? Like, is he dating everybody, or is he only going to date a couple of these prospects?
He said somebody's slash line was putrid. I don't know who he's talking about, but
Tristan Colas, he loves a lot of people. He loves a lot of people.
Yeah, but let's talk about what we really came to talk about as far as our league is concerned. So yesterday, I get a message. I get a text. I'm like, it was like big trade. I was like, what? Let me see.
Right.
Big trade. What? Okay. What the fuck is this? Right? Right? And so, it's like, okay, so here's the trade. Let's just talk about it, Eric. And you did it. I don't know where you put it in at.
That's our guy's going to come on. That's Clegg's trade calculator.
That's Clegg. Shout out to Chris. I can't wait to talk to him. So let's, so Team 1 received Logan Webb, Carlos Correa, Tariq Skubal, and Josh Naylor for Bobby Miller, Tyler Glasnow, and Gavin Lux. Yeah.
From the pitching standpoint, I don't mind it. I actually think that potentially, Duke's team is not by all means a contender at this point. I wouldn't put them in the top half of the league. So go getting two upside guys like Bobby Miller and Tyler Glasnow. Tyler Glasnow is healthy. He's a top 5 pitcher in the league. Yeah. But the problem is he's never, ever been healthy.
Never.
So I don't mind the upside trade there, but why do you give away the extra player? He gave away one too many players here, as you can tell, right? Yeah. Like either keep Correa or keep Naylor, and this trade actually becomes relatively fair. Like he gave away an extra player to make Caleb more dangerous, which is the last thing that we need, is the guy that finishes a runner-up last year to get more dangerous. So,
yeah, well, Justin, you get your chance week 1 to top E-class. So you get your chance. You got him week 1, Justin. You get the champ week 1. So, but yeah. So going back to that that trade, it was for me. It was just like you said, the pitching. I could kind of see that, but Josh Naylor going back.
Yeah, it was like which is like an extra player, right? Like he gave away an extra player.
Yeah, I mean, and a player of Josh Naylor who has so much upside. I think the man hit 280 last year, 290.
Yeah,
some shit like that.
And he walks.
Yeah, and I think he had like 24 bombs, 20 something bombs. I want to say he had I think it was like 20 something bombs last year too.
Yeah, and I'll give a little shout out to Caleb. Like, I didn't love Caleb's draft. I know he's dangerous, but I didn't love it. I thought that he went too future and not necessarily enough current day and too risky versus steady. But like, he traded away some risk for what he knows is going to be some production here. I think he's a lot more dangerous after the trade.
Yeah, like so Josh Naylor last year, 308, 354, 489, 842 OPS.
Yeah.
10 stolen bases, 97 ribbies, 17 home runs, but 31 doubles.
Yeah, and he got 48 extra base hits, 97 RBIs. I mean, he only struck out 68 times.
Yep. And you know, it was just so much like,
listen, Duke's a new kid on the block. Everybody was trying to fleece him. I was in his DMs. You were in his DMs.
I was.
Caleb was in his DMs. Asinine was in his DMs. Everyone was trying to get to the rookie first. And Caleb
got
off to you. You beat us. Like, we were all trying to fleece the new guy, and you pulled it off.
You pulled it off. And you know, the other thing, like I said, week one, you got, you know, the guy that you knocked out last year.
Yeah, the guy that traded away Bobby Witt, right? That's who I got.
Yeah, you got the Bobby Witt trader. Yes, the guy who traded away Bobby Witt. But he will defend that. He would defend that through and through. Justin will defend that move through and through. And you know, I like some of the moves that he's done after that. So you know, Bobby Witt being Bobby Witt, you know, it's just that one player. But I think he got some value.
I just can't imagine. I get it, but I just can't imagine starting off your first year of a dynasty team and drafting somebody like Bobby Witt and then just sending him off for even trying on your uniform.
Yep, he said it doesn't matter who I trade, I will survive. he said he just cut your lights off. So,
he did. He did. The whole office got shut off. It must be 6 o'clock.
It just hit 6. So you know, I think we're gonna have some good competition this year but I don't see Duke, you know, coming out, you know, I don't see he's in the bottom third.
Yeah. And what's cool
out of fourth.
And what's cool about this in the dynasty, and I think we should draft a pickoff show together, team. We can talk about weekly too.
Yeah.
It's not just all about our league, because I would love to expand.
Oh no, we definitely will. We definitely will do some weekly.
See what we've learned.
Yeah.
But you know what's cool about this dynasty is you almost have to make a choice. Like, you know, at some point, like, all right, I can tell now I don't really love my team this year. Can I set up for future years, or like as this season goes, like what's my plan? Like, right. You know, or whatever. Like, so I'm super intrigued. Love the minor side of it. Like, I went more guys that were 2 or 3 years probably from being removed because I loved my major league roster.
Right.
Like, you know, so like I have zero interest in promoting anybody from my minor league roster. So like I went for guys that are your more AA types and your stuff, the guys that are probably you'll see next year on your top 10 most wanted deals. Some of those guys I believe are already on my bench.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I went to. I went there. I went kind of really, really young with some of the guys that I like. Ethan Silas. You won't see him for a couple years,
right?
You understand? You know, you might not see. Well, you might see James Wood, but you know, Aiden Miller, you're not going to see him. You know.
Well, I'll tell you another mistake that, you know, one reason I don't like Duke's trade whatsoever, and I think it's important, and I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. So you scumbags who listen, you better pay attention. We changed the rules and we don't count wins. We count quality starts.
Yep.
So I got bad news for you. Talon Glasgow ain't going 6 innings. Bobby Miller's brand new. He ain't going 6 innings. So you just traded away 2 guys in Logan Webb as a quality start machine. So you traded away the category incorrectly.
Yep.
You know, whatever. King Mac, I heard you talking smack in the chat about you're so glad you got the Braves because he'll get more wins for the Braves. We don't even count wins. Count quality starts. He ain't going 6 innings either. He's got like 18 quality starts in the last 4 years combined or something, like, you know, or whatever. So, like, people are missing a key point there when you talk about your pitchers is like you're not necessarily looking for W's. You're looking for quality starts and who can possibly even go 6 innings. Like our boy Sox Nick. Went and drafted Dylan Cease early. Loves him. You know, glad you're a fan. And, all the way dark now?
Yep, you're all the way dark. It's fine.
What happened here? Anyway.
I guess your computer went off.
Must have. But, yeah, so, I mean, quality starts is where it's at for our fantasy thing. I think some people missed that.
I did, too. I think some people missed it. That's the reason why I picked the guys that I picked as far as, like, guys that's going to give me high quality starts. That was the number one. That was probably my number one, along with whip, was my 2 categories I was looking at when I was looking at starting pitchers. I need quality starts and I need a good whip. And I think it's going to be good. So, so since the office is telling you to go home,
the lights are off, right?
Yeah, the lights are off. The lights are off, and we're gonna go ahead and end the show. And shout out to everybody that watched and commented. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. You know, find us on YouTube at Ray's Juke Joint Podcast. Follow the Faircats crew as they go along, the Bears and everybody, and follow us at the Pickoff Show as we talk baseball all year long. White Sox, fantasy. And
college, a little bit of college this year.
A little bit of college too. Bit of college, because we're gonna have to talk about some of these guys, you know, that are out here throwing 102 right now. You know, some of these guys that's out here. What's his name? Bedaza. He's a slugger. It's like banana, but it's like manzana or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some of these kids.
He's
or whatever,
crushing the ball right now. It's crazy. Like he's got like 3 home runs in 2 games. Like insane. But anyway, we're gonna close it out. Shout out to you, Eric. Thank you for the research. We just have to just keep on grinding, bro, because this show is gonna take off.
I'm excited.
I think that everybody's gonna keep getting better. Shout out to all the scumbags. Thank you guys for y'all support for the last 2 years since we started this thing, and you know, BGR being our, you know, just basically our sister network, so on and so forth. So, you know, it is what it is. Thank you guys, and we're gonna close it out. Turn the lights off just like Eric did.
There you go. There you go.
All right.